Good evening, everyone. I am going to give a few moments for everyone to join, and then we will get into this special Wife Class Wednesday where we are going to be discussing desperate hidden wives. So I hope you all will enjoy the lesson. I've been praying, I've been fasting. The Lord, I believe, has given me a word to help, even if it's just one person. I'm ready to share. I know it may be late for those on the East Coast. I think it's like 9 o'clock. So I will try not to stay on too long. I know I always say that, and I'll always, go much longer than expected. Hello to everyone. If I don't say hello, it's just because I sometimes get distracted if I actually read the comments. I try to stay in the zone, but hello to everyone. Thank you for all my wife class regular members. Hi to Lakita, DC native. My wife class members in the Facebook group who have been so loyal. I appreciate you guys. I love you ladies. And for anybody who wants to join the private Facebook group, just go to my profile. There's a link there where you just join. It's a private group and we accept you, where I share every Wednesday. And so I'll be doing wife class for the rest of the Wednesdays in November, and then December they will go on hiatus again until probably January, where I have some new things in store, some special guests lined up and things like that, taking it to another level. And so the Lord had given me probably weeks ago a specific word to do on Instagram for a wife class and not do it on Facebook because I have the majority of my following on Instagram. And so it's one of those words that I wanted as many women to hear it as possible. And it may not be a revelation to everyone, but for somebody, I'm hoping that something that I say will provoke them to change their perspective on their singleness or even within their marriage. And have them move forward with a greater level of peace, a greater level of purpose. And I want to get real and I want to get raw. And there's some rebukes in this lesson because I believe that the Lord is very serious about his daughters, the women of God, getting serious about their purpose, getting serious about their destiny, and being in position to meet destiny partners. All right, to meet destiny partners. And so if you were in the previous class last week, we did a lesson on bruised and broken bones, bruised and broken ribs. All right, and so this week I'm taking it to another level where we're going to be talking about desperate hidden wives. And so I just took it as a wordplay off of that popular show, Desperate Housewives. Hi, Natasha. Thanks for your compliment. All right, so let's jump right in. Desperate hidden wives. Now, I called it this not because I wanted to discuss, this new trend of people hiding whole spouses, hiding whole husbands and wives, even though that is something that you definitely need to be careful out there. Do your research, find out who is actually married and who is not. But I called it desperate hidden wives because as a single woman, you are basically a wife in waiting because you are already a wife before whoever God releases to you finds you. You are already a wife before you are found. And so that's why the Bible doesn't say, a man that finds a woman or a good woman. It says a man that finds a wife, which means upon his finding you, you are already a wife. Now, how can you already be a wife without a ring, without a quote unquote technical marriage? You're a wife in character, in heart, a virtuous woman. All right. And if you know Proverbs 31, you study that, then you know all the attributes that it takes to be considered a virtuous woman. And so when you have those traits and you have those characteristics and you are developing those attributes about yourself, you are already a wife before you are wedded. All right. You're already a wife before you are found. And so the job of the man is to come and find you and for him to get a revelation on if you're supposed to be his wife. And you're supposed to get the revelation and confirmation that you are, in fact, supposed to be his wife. Okay. And so you're already a wife. So when I call it desperate hidden wives, I'm calling it hidden because God has really been talking to me about women misinterpreting their singleness as a form of rejection or punishment, or that they haven't been chosen, that they're being overlooked, that are being forgotten, that they're not good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, talented enough. Fill in the blanks with everything, every lie that the enemy can tell you. But it is not, in fact, that there's something wrong with you, is that you are being divinely hidden. Okay, divinely hidden. And the being hidden is a part of God's protection for you and safety for you. All right. And so I said this on the last wife class, is that the goal is to be found. All right. And so a lot of times we're looking to be seen, and we are looking for attention, and we're getting those things, but we're not necessarily being found. All right. And so you may be saying, okay, it's like no one looks at me. Nobody asks me for my number. No one asks me to go out with them. It's like I'm just out here and no one even notices me. It's like I'm invisible. You're not invisible. You're just being divinely hidden. Okay, divinely hidden. Now, when you're being divinely hidden, it may feel like you're not being seen. It may feel like you're not being noticed. It may feel that you're being overlooked and forgotten. But you have to have a spiritual revelation that it's none of those things, because I do qualify for marriage. I would be a great wife to someone. I do have a great personality. I do have awesome looks. I'm attractive, so it's impossible that I'm not being seen. But while you're being divinely hidden, God is preparing someone to find you. And there's a big difference between someone seeing you and noticing you and finding you. All right. Now, the difference is any man can see you. Any man can notice you. Any man can give you attention. It's obvious that you're beautiful. It's obvious that you're anointed. All right. It's obvious that you're talented and that you have a great personality. Those things are obvious. All right. But being found means a certain man has been given a divine revelation on how to unearth you, how to locate you. So I've given this example before. You have to imagine yourself as that Proverbs 31 woman whose price is far above rubies. Now, rubies are not just randomly scattered on any old street, any old sidewalk. You can't just easily find them. They are a rare jewel. All right. And so they are hidden in the earth, deep in the earth, in special places. All right. And it takes someone who has the expertise, all right, who has the experience, who has the knowledge, who has the revelation on how to find them, to excavate them. All right. So not just any man is going to be able to find you as a ruby. Okay. And so you have to stop being confused that not everybody notices that you're wife material. You have to be, stop being confused that every man didn't decide to marry you. You are that ruby. All right. You are that price that is far above rubies. And so you're not everywhere. And so not everyone is going to be able to have the revelation of who you are. So get comfortable with being rare. Get comfortable with being hidden, okay? Because being hidden is your place of divine safety and protection. And what you want is for the Lord to anoint a particular man, all right, with the revelation on how to find you, all right? So it's not like you're literally hiding. Okay, so I'm not saying that you are being a hermit and that you don't have a social life, that you're not ever leaving the house, that all you do is go to work and go straight home, go to church and go straight home. That's not what being hidden is about. All right. Being hidden is not about your physical location. All right. Being hidden is about your spiritual location. All right. You guys know that popular quote that says a woman should be so hidden in God that it should take a man seeking God to be able to find her. It's like that type of thing. You are being spiritually hidden. All right. And you want to be spiritually hidden, because when you're spiritually hidden, that means that you are rare. That means that you are special. All right. Anything of value, people don't keep all out in the open. Even your own valuables, you hide it somewhere. You put it in a safe. All right. And so what God is doing for you in this single season is he is putting you in the divine safe. All right. Behind a lock and a code that only the man he gives a divine revelation, all right, will be able to get the access. All right. Get the entry to who you are and the value of who you are. So instead of complaining about it, all right, instead of allowing the enemy to confuse you about it, you have to say to yourself, I'm under God's divine safety. He has me in a divine safe. He has me hidden because there is a certain man, All right. There is a particular partner that he has in mind for me. And so it's good that not everybody gets to approach me. It's good that everyone doesn't have access and entry to me. Okay. It is a good thing for you to be in the safety and the protection of the Lord. So let him hide you. All right. Because what happens is once we start complaining, getting antsy and getting, anxious, we start putting ourselves out there. All right. We start putting ourselves out there. Now, when we put ourselves out there, we are no longer under the covering and the divine safety, because when we put ourselves out there, then everybody can get access to us. Now, what do I mean by putting yourself out there? You're approaching men first. All right. You're asking them for their numbers. All right. You're putting yourself on all of these dating apps, everyone that you can find. You're on Meet Me. You're on Christian Mingle. You're on single.com. You're on findme.com. You're on imhere.com. imavailable.com. All right. Not under God's safety, and too many people are getting access to you. And when they get access to you without the divine safety, that is when you have left your heart vulnerable. All right. And the Bible specifically says to guard your heart above all things. It says beyond even your spirit, your mind, and all these other things that it could have said to guard. All right. Even, your body, all these things that we should guard. But it says above everything, you better guard your heart. All right. And so when you're putting yourself too out there, all right, and you're not letting the Lord hide you, and you're not letting the Lord protect you, not letting the Lord let you be in divine safety. All right. Okay. What ends up happening is the wrong people get access to you. They get access to you. And then once they get access to you, similar to someone who gets or gains illegal entry, like a burglar or a robber, they come in and they steal things. All right. So they come into your heart. All right. Without them having gone through the approval of the Lord, they've gained this illegal access that you have given them. And when they come in, they steal. Now, what do they steal? They steal your joy. They steal, your affection. They steal your time. They rob you of your peace. And now here you are robbed. Okay. And when you are trying to pray and report them to the Lord is not looking at them. The Lord is looking at you saying, did I tell you to give them access? Who gave them the entry? Did I approve them to have access to your heart? Did you consult me before you gave them the welcome? All right. And so we have to stop pushing against the protection of the Lord and allow him to operate in the divine safety as a protective father. You have to envision the Lord as a protective father. All right. Some of you have actually grown up with very protective fathers. And then some of you didn't grow up with a father at all. So you don't even know what the concept of a protective father is. Okay. Or some of you had fathers who they're loving. Okay. But they were kind of distant. All right. You didn't have such a connection where you felt he was extra protective. You kind of just did what you wanted to do. Okay. But the Lord is a protective father, all right, which means he's very particular about who has access to you. Okay, he's very serious about who you end up committing to. Okay, he takes it very seriously who you push it all the way to covenant with. All right, and so as a protective father, he is looking at these men that you think, well, why won't that one date me? Or why won't that one call me? Or why won't this one commit to me? Why won't this one marry me? Okay, and you are looking through your natural eyes and you are trying to determine things from your emotionality instead of realizing that God is looking at this thing from a place of spirituality, from his sovereignty as a protective father. And what he can see is, oh, you may not see it, but that person has, issues that will really be damaging to you. This person has an abusive spirit. This one person has a spirit of pride. This person has a spirit of lying and dishonesty. These are things that the Lord can see from his sovereign vantage point, far above what you can see. All right. Because when we are dealing with people, we're dealing with them from this level. But when God is looking at people, he's looking at them from a level that is so far above us. That's why his thoughts are above our thoughts. His ways are above our ways. And so he is protecting you from a place of sovereignty. All right, where you are trying to engage with someone from a place of emotionality. All right, and so we have to shift from the natural thinking to the spiritual thinking. All right, and so we don't want to operate as desperate hidden wives. We want to operate as women who embrace the protection of the Lord, who appreciate the safety of the Lord, and who can relax and say, when he's ready to reveal me, he will. All right, so let's get into this desperation, all right, because I really want to get into some specifics. All right, now I want to start with this scripture coming from Isaiah 4:1, because we like to, we like to have our scriptures. It says, and in that day, this is the King James Version, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and we will wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. All right, to take away our reproach. That's the King James Version. I want to read from the International Standard Version, the same verse, because I believe that it really highlights it a different way. It says, and at that time, 7 women will cling tightly to one man and will make him this offer. We'll provide our own bread and we'll wear our own clothes. Just let us marry you so we won't be stigmatized anymore. And think about how powerful this is. This is coming from Isaiah 4:1, and that is the ISV version, the International Standard Version. It says, we'll make our own bread. All right. And I want to say, that literally, that in this new age of us being modern women, we're independent women. Okay. What do? We make our own bread. We make our own money. We make our own coins. Okay. They say we'll make our own bread. We'll provide our own bread. We'll provide our own clothes. Okay. We'll clothe ourselves. So you don't even have to provide for me. And what does that sound like? That sounds like us as modern women to say, I don't need a man, to feed me. I don't need a man to clothe me. Okay. And all that part is good when it's coming from a healthy place. But this is where it gets messed up. It says, just let us marry you so that we won't be stigmatized anymore. In other words, just let us marry you so that we won't have to be stigmatized as a single woman anymore. All right. And you may say to yourself, well, I'm not doing that. All right. But are you sure you're not doing that? Okay. Are you vying for someone's attention? Are you waiting for a particular man to decide between you and 3 other women? Are you availing yourself too much? Are you allowing someone to operate in a spirit of indecision and confusion about what they want from you, all for the sake of this may be the only one that marries me? All right. So they say, we'll make our own bread. We'll provide our own apparel. Just let us marry you so we won't be stigmatized as single anymore. And then I want to give you one more translation. It's the Good News translation. It says, when that time comes, 7 women, and when it says that time, it's talking about the last days, all right? And if you're like me, I believe we're in the last days, so I believe that this is talking about now. It says, when that time comes, 7 women will grab hold of one man and say, we can feed and clothe ourselves, but please let us say you are our husband so that we won't have to endure the shame of being unmarried. That one is powerful. Okay, I think Good News translation wins for the night. All right, that's the best one. It says, when that time comes, 7 women will grab to one man and say, we can feed and clothe ourselves, but please let us say that you are our husband so that we won't have to endure the shame of being unmarried. All right, the shame of being unmarried. And that's what I want to focus on, that these women were so desperate. All right, desperate hidden wives. All right. Okay, these women were so desperate that they knew they were sharing a man. They were willing to share the man. They said, we'll provide our own bread. Okay, we'll provide our own clothes. Just let us say that you're our husband so that we don't have to endure the shame of being unmarried. Okay, and you may not be going through that extreme where you are openly and willingly willing to share a man on that level. Okay, but how much are you willing to take for that one person, for that one man, all because you want to have a husband so that you don't have to carry the shame of being unmarried. Okay? It's desperation. And you may say, Kristy, I'm not desperate. I have standards. I'm confident. I'm powerful. I do this. I do that. That's not me. Okay? But there is covert desperation. All right. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But there is covert desperation where you may not be out here, posting risque pictures on Instagram. You may not be out here, sleeping around. You may not be out here asking men on dates. Okay. But there's some covert things that you may be doing. All right. Some covert things like being too available. All right. Asking the person, where do you stand all the time? Asking them, do they plan to marry you? Being a little bit pushy because there's a hidden desperation in your heart to know what your romantic future is going to hold. And the thing about God is he can see that desperation. And so while everybody else on the outside may think you're a boss, Okay, they may think that you're killing the game. They may think that you are super strong, super independent, one of those I don't need a man type of females. All right. Okay. But in the spirit realm, God sees that hidden desperation. All right. He sees that deep, deep down. Okay. People are saying it's freezing. All right. Let me know if the live is still freezing. It looks okay on my end, but I just want to make sure it's still going. So now it's blurry and it's freezing. The enemy always gets busy when I do a live. All right, so somebody just let me know that everything is still okay. And I'll just kind of wait for somebody to make a comment. Okay. Okay. Is it better now, guys? Can somebody tell me? Somebody tell me if it's blurry. Okay. All right, so is it still good? All right, I'm going to go right back into it. Okay. All right, so I was talking about covert desperation, where you may not be doing things very obviously and very overtly, but covertly, deep, deep, deep down, you are still operating in a spirit of subtle desperation. And so we want to make sure that we're not operating like that. Okay, so now what does desperate really mean? The Hebrew definition means despair or hopeless. Despair or hopeless. Okay. And guys, you just keep letting me know if there's some issue. Everything looks fine on my end, but the enemy acts up when revelation is being taught, because people are going to get free. Somebody is going to change their mind about who they are and what they want out of a relationship, and that's my goal. So we'll just keep moving forward. All right, so to be desperate means despair, hopeless. All right, the secular definition means very sad and upset, having little to no hope, feeling or showing despair, very difficult to deal with. All right, listen to this one: done with all your strength or energy and with little hope of succeeding. All right, and so some of you may not have known this, but you're desperate because you are in a spirit of despair, a spirit of hopelessness, where all your strength and energy, okay, has been depleted and you have little hope of success. And so that's how you feel about your single life. All right, you are living this life. Okay, you are being single, but deep, deep down, you have little hope of success. You say, yeah, maybe I'll get married, but I just don't think that I will. I don't think I'm going to be successful. I don't think I'm going to have a family. I don't think I'm going to have children. All these things that the enemy is trying to make you feel is hopeless for you. All right, a spirit of despair. All right, and so there's a couple of scriptures I want to talk about when it comes to desperation and being in a position of despair. I want to go to Job. Okay, this is one of the first mentions, okay, of desperate. Job says, and I'm reading from the Amplified version, it says, do you intend to reprove my words? Okay, which is interpreted, do you intend to have a convincing argument to me, Lord? When the words of one in despair, or the words of one who is desperate, belong to the wind. In other words, go ignored. So Job was saying, it's reconnecting. Let me try something else, guys. Okay. I hope everything can still be seen. I don't know why it's acting like this. I have full connectivity. We're coming from Job 6:26. All right. It says, do you intend to reprove my words? In other words, to have a convincing argument when the words of the one who is desperate and in despair feel like the words are blowing into the wind. All right. And it's going ignored. And some of you feel this way, just like Job did, that God, what can you say to me? All right, that's going to convince me that my words are not going ignored. All right, and so that is what some of you as single women are saying to the Lord. Okay, Lord, I'm praying to you, but it doesn't seem like you're answering. It seems like my prayers are being tossed to the wind. It seems like my prayers, all right, are being ignored. And so now I'm in a spirit of despair. Okay, I am desperate and I'm praying to you from a desperate place, and it feels like you're ignoring my prayers, that they're being tossed to the wind. All right, for those who didn't hear it, the scripture is Job 6:26. Okay, now someone says they keep hearing a ringing, but there's like nothing, I have no noise on. So I'm not sure what's going on, guys. I hope everything is okay. All right, so that is what it said in Job 6:26. All right, he's talking about being desperate and praying to the Lord from a desperate place, but feeling like the Lord is ignoring his prayers. Now, the issue with being desperate, the issue with despair. Okay. So 1 second. We're going to get to the bottom of whatever this ringing noise is. I'm going to have to call my producer and see if he can help me. Okay, 1 second, guys, because I really want this to work. Okay. Now, do you all still hear some ringing noise? Okay. All right. I'm going to keep going. I don't hear any ringing noise. So I'm concerned. Like, what is this ringing? Okay. So I don't know. Okay. I'll post it on YouTube so that we can, get through this. All right. We're talking about being desperate. All right. And so, okay. Now, when you're in a spirit of desperation, okay, you cannot allow your heart, okay, to override what you know is right in your head. Okay, you cannot allow what's going on in your heart to override what's in your head. Now, in Jeremiah 17:9, it says the heart is deceitful above all things. All right, and not only is it deceitful above all things, I'll try to move closer so maybe that will stop whatever this ringing noise is. It says and desperately wicked. So here we have that word again, desperate. Honey, they're saying that there's some ringing. What does it say? It's just a random ringing? Okay, I don't know what it is. All right. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I was trying to get my husband to tell me if he could hear a ringing noise, and he does, but there's no ringing noise here. So the devil is just big mad. I don't understand it. All right. And so because the heart is desperately wicked, we cannot trust it. And so if you cannot trust your heart, okay, you cannot trust your heart, then it means that we have to rely on our spirit, because if we cannot trust our heart, we have to trust the spirit. And so you have to develop discernment in the spirit so that you don't lose your head from following your heart. All right. No, it's not a fan or anything, guys. I'm not really sure. Let me try one thing. I hate that this is happening, but I need that. Okay. All right. Thanks, babe. Sorry, guys. I was trying to fix it. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. And so the heart is desperately wicked. So we don't want to, when you are following a desperate heart, then obviously your actions and attitude is going to be desperate as well. All right. And so we don't want to operate in a spirit of desperation, because desperation provokes fear. Okay, provokes fear. Desperation provokes fear. All right. And when you are in a place of fear, it will cause you to pick a partner from a place of panic. All right. You will pick a partner from a place of panic. All right. When you're operating in desperation, and desperation will provoke fear. And so a lot of times we are allowing ourselves to be with partners from a place of panic. All right. And we're trying to get fiancés from a place of fear. Okay. And we're trying to get married because the devil has messed with our minds. All right. That if we wait on what the Lord may have, you may wait in vain. Okay. And so do not pick a partner from a place of panic. All right. When you pick a partner from a place of panic, okay, then you have fear that is everlasting within your relationship. And that's the trick of the enemy, is that you think if you pick a partner from a place of panic. So let's just say your issue is biological clock. You say, okay, I'm turning this age. I still don't have this. I still don't have that. Let me go ahead and be with this person right now because they are available. All right. You've picked a partner from a place of panic. Now, the trick of this is, all right, the trick of this is that when you get with that person, the panic won't stop. The fear will continue, okay, because there's something in your spirit that knows this was not who the Lord has for me. And so now you don't feel the protection. You don't feel the covering of the Lord. You don't feel the blessing or the favor of the Lord in the relationship, because something in your spirit knows I picked a partner out of a place of panic. All right. I didn't pick a partner from a place of patience. All right. Okay. And so when you pick partners from a place of panic, the panic continues throughout the tenure of the relationship. Now, of course, the Lord can turn things around. I'm talking to those who are married. You know, the Lord can grace you. The Lord can do a work. But for those who are single, when you have the opportunity, okay, to decide who you're going to be with, now is the time to operate from a place of patience, because patience produces healthy partners. Okay, picking partners from a place of panic, all right, is going to cause chaos. It is going to cause confusion. Picking partners from a place of panic is going to cause you to be in a relationship that's full of pandemonium. Full of pandemonium. Okay, not only pandemonium, all right, but being in a partnership based on panic can lead to perversion. All right. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be crazy things, but I'm using perversion as a way to say things that are against God, things that are not sacred, things that are not holy. Now you're in these relationships where they're not believers. They are agnostic and atheists. Okay. They don't believe in the one true and living God. They don't believe in Jesus Christ. They don't believe in going to church. They have all these false religions and you're attaching yourself to them. Okay. They don't believe that fornication is wrong. They believe that you should live together before marriage. They believe all these things. Okay. And because you're trying to align yourself with them for their partnership, they are perverting and diluting who you are as a woman of God. All right. And I want to give some examples. Okay. And I hope everything's good with the connection, because that was nothing but a demonic attack. And I'm taking this from my book, Dating with Discernment, because I have a particular chapter that's specifically about desperation. All right. And so we're talking about picking partners from a place of panic leads to pandemonium and leads to perversion, perverting who you are as a woman of God. All right. And so in my book, I bring up this story of Lot's daughters, and I want to read the scripture. Okay, and the scripture I'm going to read is coming from, so those who are taking notes can take it, is coming from Genesis chapter 19, 30 through 38. Read that entire story. Genesis chapter 19, 30 through 38. All right, and I'm going to start at verse 31, and this is coming from the NLT version. It says, one day the older daughter, and we're talking about Lot's daughters. One day the older daughter said to her sister, there are no men left anywhere in this entire area, so we can't get married like everyone else. And our father will soon be too old to have children. Come, let's get him drunk with wine, okay? And then we will have sex with him. Okay, that way we will preserve our family line through our father. And I want to focus on this part where she says there are no men left anywhere in this entire area. So we can't get married like everyone else. All right. We can't get married like everyone else. Now, because they were desperate. Now, why do I say they were desperate? They were desperate because they were moving in a spirit of fear and panic. And so we all know the story of Lot and his wife. We know about Lot's wife looking back and turning into a pillar of salt. I've done a whole video about not looking back like Lot's wife. It's on YouTube, so check that out. It's one of my favorite ones. Okay, but a lot of times we don't talk about Lot's daughters. Okay, Lot's daughters, okay, decide from a place of panic that because they could not see any men, that the Lord did not have any men in store for them. Okay, it says there's no men that we can see. So now we have to take the matters of our hearts in our own hands. Okay, we're not going to wait on God. We're not going to see what may happen. We're not going to give things a little bit of time because we don't know what the Lord may do. But because we can't see it, I'm going to take matters into my own hands. All right, they tried to secure their position. All right, from a place of panic. All right. And so what they did was they moved into a place of perversion from that panic. And so you may say, well, I would never do anything as perverted as trying to get my own father drunk and lay with him so that I can have children. But what other forms of perversion have you allowed because the place of panic had you in a relationship that you knew was not of God? Okay, had you giving of yourself in a way that you knew was not of God. Okay, had you accepting and settling for things that you knew were not of God. Okay, of not of God. And so it has pushed you into a place of perversion. Now, what I want to pay attention to also in this verse is that it's the older daughter telling the sister that this is what we should do. Okay, so be careful of who your circle is. Be careful of what other women you allow in your ear. Be careful, because that girl that you calling sis, okay, she may not have a vision for her destiny the way that you have a vision for your destiny. And if you talk to people who are in a place of panic, all right, they will cause you to go into a perversion, all right, in a place of panic and fear that you would not have come into your own had you been left to your own thoughts. Okay. And so I know we have a lot of sister groups and a lot of sister circles. And I know you have your friends and you have your girls. And you know, I know personally, you know, having good women of God around you is vital to your life. Okay. It is an amazing thing to have good, godly women that have sound counsel around you. But not everybody in your circle has the revelation. Okay. Not everybody in your circle, all right, has the discernment to know what's for you. Okay. I'll give you an example. When the disciples were around Christ, he asked them, who do people say that I am? Okay. And so all the disciples had all these. Some people say that you're Elias. Some people say that you're a prophet. Some people say that you're this. Some people, but it was only Peter that said, you are the Son of the living God. All right. And Christ said to him, flesh and blood didn't reveal that to you, but my Father revealed that to you. And so what am I saying to you? You can have a tight circle, but they may not see things the way you see things, because the Lord has downloaded you with a revelation. Okay. And so you have to walk when it comes to your relationship or future relationship from your own level of revelation of what the Lord has shown you is for you. Okay. Because if you listen to their fears will provoke you to settle for someone you don't want. Their fears will provoke you. Your family who keeps asking you, when are you going to get married? What are you waiting for? You're not getting any younger. You know, don't be so picky. Don't be this. Don't be that. And they try to push you to settle for people. Okay. And they'll have you marrying someone. Okay. For their sake. They will have you picking a partner from a place of panic and convince you that God doesn't have anything better for you. God doesn't have anything else in store for you. You better take what you can get now. You will let people push you to a place of panic. All right. And that's what Lot's oldest daughter did with the younger daughter. Okay. She suggested. The spirit of suggestion is very powerful. Okay. It only takes one seed for someone to influence you to do something that otherwise you wouldn't even have thought of on your own. So she says, let's come. Let's get our father junk and let's take our love lives into our own hands. Okay. And we're going to do this thing ourselves. We're not going to wait. Okay. Because we don't see any men in this entire area. But that is why the Bible says we walk by faith and not by sight. And you better walk by faith as a single woman and not by sight, because by sight, the enemy will have you thinking that there are no men. There are no good men. There are definitely no godly men. There aren't any straight men. There aren't any educated men. There aren't any this men or that men. He will have you thinking that you see nothing. Okay. Okay. But when you are single and the Lord has you in a place of being hidden, it is not for you to see tons of men. What do you need to see tons of options for when the Lord has ordained one for you? All you need is the one that the Lord wants for you. So you don't need to see 100 men to choose from, because that's not your position. Your position is to be waiting to be found by the one that the Lord sent. All right. So my admonishment to you with that example from Lot's daughters is not to pick partners from a place of panic. Do not walk by sight, walk by faith. Okay, because faith will have you knowing that there is an abundance for me and all of my sisters and all the women that the Lord has ordained for marriage to get what's theirs. So I don't have to covet. I don't have to compete for a man. I don't have to manipulate someone and give ultimatums for them to marry me. I don't have to be moving from state to state every other year hoping that this will give me a better quote unquote pool of options. Okay, you're not looking for options. You're looking for something that's ordained. Okay. So don't let your sister circle push you to a place of panic that may cause you to be in a place of perversion. So when it comes to desperation, it means despair. And in 2 Corinthians 4:8, it says, we are troubled on every side. We are yet not distressed. We are troubled on every side, but not distressed. It says we are perplexed, but not in despair. Okay, and this is a word for some of you women of God. You being single for this amount of time at this particular age has you perplexed in your spirit. And the Bible says we are perplexed, but we're not in despair. In other words, it's perplexing why I'm still single. If we're just being honest, it's perplexing that I'm not married yet. It's perplexing because I thought that my life would be different in the order of a relationship by now. It is perplexing, but I'm not in despair. So in other words, although it does not make sense to me naturally, okay, I'm not going to let it push me to a place of desperation. I'm not going to let it push me to a place of despair. What does perplex mean? Perplex means baffled. Okay, to cause to be puzzled or bewildered over what is not understood or certain. Okay, I'm giving the definition for perplexed. We are perplexed, but not in despair. Perplexed means baffled, to be puzzled, to be bewildered over what is not understood or certain. Okay, because that's where this is really catching some of you as single women. And I have a passion for single women. That's why I talk to them. I was single and I know what I went through. And so I would love to have had all the wisdom and notes and nuggets that I could get to help me stay in a good headspace while I was single. All right. So you're bewildered over what is not certain. Okay, because some of you, you'd be okay as long as you knew for sure you were going to get married. All right, some of you would be okay if you knew for sure when you were going to get married. The issue is you're still struggling on the am I going to get married ever? So it's uncertain. Okay, it says that we're perplexed, but we're not in despair. So you don't know what is certain. It's not understood. And this is the one part that I really like, is that the definition for perplexed means, in the secular terms, confused mentally. Confused mentally. And so what I loved about this is that you logically could be confused. You could be confused mentally, but when you have a revelation and when you are filled with the Spirit, okay, you don't have to be confused spiritually. So on the outside, it may seem like, well, she's a beautiful woman. She's smart. She's talented. She's educated. She's anointed. She's powerful. She's independent. Okay, she's stable. It's perplexing why she's still single. It's perplexing. It is confusing mentally. Okay. But when you're a woman of God, you say, well, it may be confusing mentally to everyone else, but spiritually, I know full well what is going on. I am being hidden for the right one. Okay. Spiritually, this makes perfect sense to me. The Lord said in his word that he would not withhold any good thing from me. So if it was good for me, he would have given it to me by now. But for whatever reason, in his sovereignty, from him being high and looking low, there's something from his divine vantage point that says it's not good for her right now. And I refuse to give her something that's not good for her. She may think it is. Okay, it's no different than if you have a daughter, a young child, and she wants to have something that's not good for her. And she may not understand. She may not understand why it's not safe to put her finger in socket. She may not understand why she can't just eat a full bowl of candy for dinner. She may not understand why she can't play with toys that have sharp edges. Okay, she may not understand why she can't just run in the street. But you, as her protector, you as a mother who loves her, okay, whether she understands it or not, have to step in and protect her and prevent her from involving herself in something that could hurt her, something that could cut her, something that could potentially kill her. And so the Lord looks down on you as his daughter the same way. She may not understand why I won't let her get married yet. She may not understand why she doesn't have children yet. She may not understand why I didn't let that relationship work out. She may not understand why she's had to be single this long. But I, as a protective father, I see something in my spiritual vantage point that lets me know it would hurt her right now. It would kill her destiny right now. And I love her too much to allow it. Now that was a word for somebody. If that doesn't break you free from the bondage of fear of being alone, if that doesn't provoke you to know that the love of God prevails and that he would rather keep you from something and let you be mad at him and resent him and complain to him. But no matter how much you cry, no matter how much of a tantrum you have, if it's not good for you, he's got to withhold it. But the reverse is also true. If it is good for you, and when it is good for you, he refuses to withhold it from you. So it goes both ways. His word said he would not withhold any good thing from you. So when he decides it is good for you, guaranteed it's going to be released. Okay? It's going to be released. So keep that in mind, that you can be troubled on every side and not distressed. You can be perplexed about your singleness, but you don't have to be in despair. You don't have to be desperate. All right? So let me just check this time because I don't want it to cut off on me. We got a little more time before it cuts off. So some of these symptoms, okay, of being desperate. All right? Let's talk about some of the symptoms. You're always available. Okay? You're too accessible. Every time they call, you're ready. You know, they call you on a Friday night at 9:00. They gave you no previous notice. All right. They didn't let you know beforehand that they were even thinking about going out with you. But at the last minute, they think they can call you up. And because you're being desperate for that company, that companionship, deep down in your spirit, you know you deserve more advance notice. You deserve things to be thought out and to be planned. That is not too much for someone to call you in advance to let you know. Okay. That they want to see you, that they want to spend time with you. Okay. And so, you know, they want to call you at all hours of night. You know, you're working hard, you know, you have things to do, you work, you go to church, you know, you volunteer, you do the things that you do, and they think it's okay to call you at midnight. They think it's okay to say certain things to you. Okay. And you're always available and you're always accessible. It's okay to sometimes to be busy doing you. All right. You know, some people think that, well, I didn't want to say I was busy because I wasn't really doing anything but reading a book. No, read your book. Do your laundry, paint your nails, go get your hair done, watch a few sermons on YouTube if that's what you're doing. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's okay to be busy sometimes, because when you are overly accessible, okay, and when you are overly available, it comes off as desperate, okay? Because the issue, ladies, is that how we see things as women are different in how men perceive them. So in your heart, you just know it's desire. Okay, I have a desire for a relationship. I have a desire for companionship. Okay, so you know deep down, it's not that I'm desperate. I just have a desire. But you have to be careful that your desire is not coming off as desperate, because it's not just about how you think. Men think differently. So if he knows he can call you and get you anytime, day or night, whether it's a respectful hour or not, he loses respect for you. I'm just telling you the things that you may not want to hear, that other people may not say, but because I want you to have good success in your relationships, I'm telling you the truth. Your desire can come off as desperation. If you are overly available and too easily accessible, you cease to become a rarity, okay? You cease to become unique, all right? Because men are wired for challenge, not unnecessary challenge. Okay, my husband says this all the time, that a man likes some challenge. He doesn't want to feel like just anybody could get you, but they don't like unnecessary challenge. In other words, they don't like games. But if you're having prayer time and devotion time, you know, and they seem to call all the time when you're in your devotions, you know, don't keep neglecting the Lord to answer their phone. Don't keep neglecting the Lord to respond to those text messages, because you're so fearful and so desperate in your heart that if I don't give him immediate attention, he may take his attention elsewhere. He may call another girl. He may ask another girl out, or he may not ask me on a date if I don't answer the phone this time. That is fear. Okay. That is desperation. All right. And so it is okay to be confident and to be at peace. And when those times come where you're genuinely not available, it's okay to be unavailable. Okay, because being overly available and accessible is a sign of desperation. Being too clingy. Okay, and this goes for single women that are dating and married women. Okay, just because you're married doesn't mean that you can cling to him all day and all night. All right, if you have a real king, okay, and a real priest over your home, he is busy about his father's business. He is busy about his assignment. Yes, there's time for dates. There's time for affection. There's a time for intimacy. There's a time for undivided attention to one another. Okay, but when you're being overly clingy, okay, it drains a man. When you're being overly clingy, it is distracting a man from his assignment. And then when he gets slack and lax on his assignment, and he can't take you guys to the next level in the empire and legacy that you're trying to build as a unit, then you'll be complaining, okay? But you can't be clingy and complain when you distract him, all right? You have to imagine yourself being linked up with a king, Okay, single ladies, that you're having a future king. Married ladies, that your husband is a king. Okay, and he has kingly duties to tend to. All right, so sometimes he needs to go read his word alone. Sometimes he needs to have a little space so God can minister to him and talk to him. Okay, when God was giving Moses the revelation, he had to take him on the backside of a mountain. All right. And so sometimes your godly man or your husband, all right, God is talking to him and giving him revelation on where to take the family. What's the next step for the marriage, ministering to him about your children. And he needs that time to go on the backside of the mountain so that the Lord can talk to him. But he can't be on the backside of the mountain and you keep knocking on the door of the mountain saying, when you coming out? Why won't you pay attention to me? I miss you. What are you doing in there? Are you talking to somebody on the phone? What's happening? Let him have some space so that the Lord can download new things to him. All right. And this is, if you don't trust that your man has a relationship with God like that, okay, then that's something that you need to be praying about. But if you know you picked him because you trust his relationship with the Lord, then he has to have time with God. Okay, there are times when my husband say, I'm going to be doing some prayer today. I'm going to be doing some reading today. And I say, hey, no problem. I'll make him something cold to drink, cook dinner, or go back into my own word and doing, because, hey, two can play that game. You going into consecrating, I can consecrate too. You fasting and read, I can fast and read too. Okay, I don't have time to be, all up in his face all day. Okay, and then when I say, okay, look, well, what's the plan for the family for next year? He say, well, I don't know. You never gave me no time to think. You never gave me any time to pray. You was just all up in here all day. I didn't get time to talk to God. Okay, because the reality is married or not, in a relationship or not, committed or not, both parties still need to have time to cultivate their own relationship with the Lord. Okay, and so you cannot be clingy, because that is a sign of desperation. Okay, fishing for compliments consistently is a sign of desperation. All right, let me check my time. Okay, a few more minutes. Fishing for compliments constantly. Okay, now I know some of us, our love language is words of affirmation. Okay, my love language is words of affirmation. I would prefer to have some affirming, encouraging, motivating words more than anything. Okay, but hi, Stefan. It's good to have you on. Just a family member I wanted to acknowledge. Okay, I love compliments. Love it. It's like gold to me. Okay, but you can't fish for compliments so much so thinking that it's going to fill a void in you of brokenness that it will never be able to fill. If you don't really believe that you are beautiful or talented or anointed, okay, or intelligent, there are no amount of compliments that any man can give you that is going to convince you that it's true. Okay, it's something that you have to know about yourself first. And what a compliment should be is just repeating something that you already know about yourself. All right. So when your man says, you're beautiful, there should be something in you that says, well, I know that. And I appreciate you acknowledging what I already know about myself. Okay. When your man says, you're anointed, that's something that you are thanking him for acknowledging what you already know about yourself. But when you're fishing for compliments, what you're really asking is for a person to give you a security that they cannot give you. They cannot give you. And this is important as a single. When you are dating and a man really is taking you seriously, do not push him away because you are consistently fishing for compliments to the point where it makes him feel that nothing that he says is good enough. Yes, like one person said, validation. They don't have the power to validate you. Okay, you have to know your own value and get your validation from the Lord. And what they are showing you is an appreciation for what you already have a revelation on about yourself. Okay, and as wives, of course, we love our compliments. Okay, but stop coming to him with, needing these compliments. Hey, babe, how's my makeup? He doesn't know. He doesn't know how your makeup is. All he knows is that you look pretty. Okay, but you're asking him, is your contour good? You're asking him, is your highlight good? You're asking him, are your curls good? You're asking him, is your natural hair good? And are your bundles flowing? He doesn't know. He doesn't care. Men just know, hey, I don't know how you did it, but you look good to me. But we get so caught up in needing very specific compliments, asking him, do I look fat in this or that? All right. Stop asking him that. Usually, if you feel a certain way about how you look about it, okay, it's safe to assume, okay, maybe you may feel a little, chunky in that. I asked my husband the opposite. Does this make me look even skinnier? And what can he say? It's a lose-lose. Okay, if he says yes, you look skinny in it, then now I'm upset. Okay, if he says no, you don't look skinny in it, I'm gonna be like, you lying. You know I look skinny in this. They can't win. All right. So you have to know some things for yourself. You can't fish for these compliments. You have to have confidence and let their compliments just be an acknowledgement of what you already know about yourself. Okay. Another sign of desperation, dropping your standards. Okay. Dropping your standards. And that's such a big one. That could be a whole live by itself. But you're dropping your standards to accommodate a person. All right. And so you used to believe that living together before marriage was wrong. But because from a spirit of desperation, you want to keep this relationship together. When he asked, can he move in with you? You allowed it. When he said, I think we should live together before we get married so that I can, we can see how we mesh together before we permanently decide to commit to one another. All right. You allow that to make you drop your standard. Okay. Keep your standards. When your confidence is high, and the Lord has given you the validation that you need, you have to say, no, I'm sorry you feel that way. I was enjoying this relationship, but I don't believe in living together before marriage. I don't believe in having sex before marriage. Yes, I have hormones. I have desires. I get tempted just like you. I'm not saying I'm not human, but I made a decision to save myself for marriage. Now, so either he can step up to your standard or he can step off. And I hate to say it that way. This isn't a male bashing, but because I'm talking to females, we're talking about men. He either can step up to your standard or he can step off. Okay. And not only step up, you really should be dating someone who has the same standard as you. Okay. Because it's nothing like being in a relationship where you guys already have the same standard. So some conversations don't even need to be had. Okay. Some conversations don't even need to be had because he's on the same spiritual page. You're on the same spiritual page. So now you guys are walking in agreement, because how can two walk together unless they be agreed? Right? Okay. And so stop lowering your standard to accommodate, because the lower you put your standard, the more people have access to get into your heart. But when you keep that standard high, not unattainable, not ridiculous, not superficial, but you keep a holy standard, then the right ones have to step up to that, or they're already on that level. There's some godly men out here, they'll make you step up. I know we don't talk about that. We're always talking about we upgraded them and men need to level up. But there are some genuinely good, godly men who have very high standards. They want to see what's coming out your mouth. Do you know your scriptures? Do you know your word? Do you have a real prayer life? Okay. Do you intercede? Okay. Can you function as a fully healthy rib for him? Okay. Okay. So, it's not always, the women. There are men out here that are looking for a certain standard as well. So keep that in mind. And right before it ends, and I come back on, and when I come back on, I won't be long. But right before it ends, the last sign of desperation is rationalizing their bad treatment. Okay. They're talking to you any kind of way. They're being mentally, emotionally, verbally, sometimes physically abusive. Okay. But because you have that spirit of desperation, you are rationalizing their treatment of you. You're saying, well, he was just mad that day, or that's just how he talks, or, that's how he grew up. And because of his childhood, this, and because of that, you are rationalizing their bad behavior. Now, there's one thing for the Lord to anoint you with the understanding of someone who is trying to treat you well, and they're consistently treating you a certain way that lets you know they really care about you. And every now and then they have moments that the Lord shows you they still have some brokenness. That's one thing. But when they are consistently mishandling you, dealing with you harshly, not cherishing you, not respecting you, not honoring you in the relationship, okay, it is not your job to rationalize. It's your job to get a revelation. They may not be for me. So they don't have to change if they don't want to, okay, because I can't make a man change, but I may have to change my position in his life, because I will not rationalize bad behavior just to accommodate someone who does not want to change, who does not want to grow. Okay. And sometimes you don't realize what you're doing. I've had women say, all types of things that a man is doing as far as mistreating them. And because they want to keep the relationship so bad, they rationalize, they make excuses for it. And I say, step out of yourself for a moment. If this was your daughter saying that someone was treating her this way, would you encourage her to stay with him? Okay. If this was someone you cared about, a woman that you cared about who came and told you that a man was treating them this way, talking to them this way, handling them this way, would you encourage them to stay with them? And so you have to give yourself that same advice that you would give to someone else. That when they're mishandling you, that's not the time to keep rationalizing it. That may be God giving you a revelation that they are not the one for you. Okay? And so those are the signs and symptoms of desperation. Okay? And so I just have two other points that I think are really important. They're my favorite 2 points that we're going to talk about. All of these false signs, these false confirmations, these false words, and these false prophecies about this person is your husband and that person is your husband, because that is something that has been weighing on me that really vexes my spirit, because so many women have gotten false words and it is literally keeping them bound to a false prophecy. Okay. So we want to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about one other thing, one revelation that I got that I really want to share. So I'm going to end it now because the lives are only for an hour. Come right back, guys. I promise you, I'm only going to be gone for 3 seconds. So I'm going to end it now to save the video. We'll come right back on and then I will let you guys go. But this is the most important part, in my opinion, of the live. So tune right back in. We'll be back after these, spiritual messages. Okay, come right back. Love you guys.